You're so cool, girl. You're so pretty, girl. Everyone loves you, girl. It's midnight. I was getting ready to go to bed and I had like a whole plan for this video. I was gonna make a dinner and have dinner with you guys and just chat and answer some of the questions that you guys asked me in the Q&A. But I find myself feeling a lot more, I don't know, just like down to earth and inspired when it's kind of spur of the moment and it's not something planned. And yeah, I was about to go to bed and I was looking through the questions that you guys asked me and I was feeling quite chatty. So I was like, just do it now, girl. Like, just do it now. And I wanted to start the video by hyping you guys up because, strangely enough, one of the questions that I got asked the most is, how do you stay positive? Like, I guess online I put out like a positive, fun energy, which I'm very grateful for. Don't want to be like a Debbie Downer. But having said that, like recently I've been really trying in my videos as well to show you guys moments of feeling doubtful or the moments where I feel fragile, and there's always this feeling of like, ugh, do I really want to share that? You know what I mean? But I really think it's important that people don't perceive me as being just like this super joyful, positive person, love good, Luna love good type girl all the time, because it's just not the case. Like, I really have to work at it. You know what I mean? And I think it's important to say that. Just like I think it's important if someone's like, wow, you're super fit. And the person's like, oh, like, I just eat whatever I want. I think it's important to be honest. Like, if you work out, say you work out, because it just makes people, I think it helps to know that this is something I have to work towards. But something I'll do is I will try to be silly. For example, if I'm feeling down, because one of the questions was like, how do you feel positive? I will try to tap into fun and silliness, because I think that creativity is really attached to playfulness and fun. And so I'll look at myself in the mirror. I'll do like a little mirror work, is what the girls are calling it these days. But you just look in the mirror and you're like, oh my god, I love you so much, you're so cool, you're so fun. So doing affirmations that way. And something that I've been doing a lot recently that's helped me is I voice note myself a ton. I will, if I'm feeling like a little bit like icky or weird, I will be like, okay girl, let's just sit down and we'll have a voice note with ourselves, and I'll just be like, how are you doing, Shayna? And I'm like, not good. And then I'm like, what's wrong? And then I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. And then after like 30 minutes of talking to myself, I'll feel like I'm being seen and heard. And I think a lot of people would think that's a weird thing to do, like talking to yourself. But to me, I think I want my most dominant relationship to be with myself. So yeah, I wanted to start the video off with that because I never want to give the impression that I'm just like born this way, bitch, because like that's not the case. And I feel like something that I noticed is I'll look back at my old videos and I can really see like a fluctuation of some periods of my life I was like super confident, and some periods I was like lost, or maybe going through like a relationship thing, or I could see myself feeling a bit more down. And what I realized is like it's a fluctuation, and you can lose yourself and find yourself over and over again. And I think it's sort of like contractions, you know, like when you're going through different things in life, you're going to expand and you're going to retract, and that's just normal. But just remember, you're that girl, you know what I mean? No matter what, just, you're that girl. And it doesn't matter if no one else thinks you're that girl, you're that fucking girl. And I also just want to say that it's not to say that you have like moments of doubt or not feeling good that you are somebody that's not confident, I think like that's beautiful, because you're actually confident with expressing yourself and your feelings of vulnerability. I think a lot of people want to create like this perfect exterior. But to me, like when somebody's like, oh, I never worry about that, or like that never bothers me, or like it's some sort of flex, but like good for you, Rachel. Like I'm really happy that you're never upset about that. And like, I just want to say like, a lot of times I'll share things in my videos and I'll get comments like, oh, well me, like, I mean, I just always try to think this, this, and this. And it's like, listen, the most confident people also have these moments of feeling down. And it's not a question of whether or not you feel down, but it's your ability to accept yourself in those moments and to rebound from them, and to learn from them, you know? I'm just scrolling through these questions. I'm not even... is it okay to ask? Oh, there's a myriad of questions in the comment. Is it okay to ask how old you are? How long did it take for you to learn French? And how did you start out? Okay, so I'm 34 years old. You know what's so funny is like in the beginning I was really scared to share that on YouTube. Like I would never say how old I was because I thought that people were gonna judge me for my age, and now I just realized that like, I mean, obviously like getting older is such a process and bittersweet in many ways, but I just realized like there's nothing to be ashamed of, you know? Like it's actually quite cool to be 34 and like be doing what I love. And yeah, I feel like I feel better at 34 about my age than I did at like 25. I used to always, I don't know, like get really stressed out about getting older and like trying to keep up with the time, not keep up with the times. That's not what I want to say. Like keep up with my goals and feel like I was running out of time. But actually like, if you think about it, when you're in high school, that's only 4 years of your life, you know? And even for me, for example, I started doing art, and in the space of that 1 year, I really progressed so much in 1 year. So I feel like it's not really about the years, but it's about your energy and your intention in those years. Like you can do so much in 1 year and then like the next 3 years, like get into like a toxic relationship and then like not do anything. So I think it's not so much about the years, but yeah, it's about the intention. I had to get some water. Someone asked me, how would your desired ideal relationship look like? What needs to happen for you to acquire something like that? It's an interesting way to put it. So I've talked about this in other vlogs, but I recently got out of a 1 year relationship and I learned a lot from that one, because it definitely like triggered a lot of things in me, and it was quite difficult as well because I think the beginnings of a relationship can be so one way, and it takes a while to actually like really get to know somebody. And I think that's the thing that I kind of have a difficulty with, is like I'm someone that like I kind of like to take things slow, and I've noticed that like when I'm dating somebody, it's very quickly like love bombing, and then you get attached to that person and you actually see like the ways you're compatible and not compatible. But I think the biggest thing that I took away from this last one is that a relationship is really like a mirror. And in the beginning, when you first meet somebody and they're really into you and they're like, you're the best thing ever, and they're love bombing you, and you're like, wow, like finally someone gets the vision, you know? They're holding up a mirror to you. If you're somebody that's confident and you love yourself and you were happy being single before, they're holding a mirror up to you that confirms like who you think you are. You're like, yes, this person sees me. And then with time, for example, if things change, if they don't compliment you as much as they used to, if you feel like they're maybe a bit avoidant, every time that you're not seen in a relationship, it's like the mirror that they're holding up to you gets like a little dust on it. And so one day, like 6-8 months later, the mirror that they're holding up to you is not the person that you recognize yourself as. And I think that that can be really detrimental to your self-esteem. And I know that was for me the case, because I felt like before I got into this relationship, I was really confident in myself. And then dating this person, because we had different attachment styles and love languages, by the end of it, I felt like my self-esteem had taken a major hit. I felt like I didn't like the way that they saw me, or I didn't like the person that I was in that relationship anymore. And I think that was like a really big learning lesson from this last one, is that it's not enough to love the person. You also have to be able to be loved by them in a way that you can feel it, you know? And that's why for me, I honestly feel like whenever I'm in a relationship, my creativity just goes to shit. Like, I just feel like, if I'm being honest, when you're in a relationship, you are exalting your art. It becomes your crush, you know? And then when you're with somebody and you're working hard on this thing, that takes all of your energy. And so to answer your question, I honestly just don't see myself in a relationship at this point anymore, unless it was like, I don't know, it would have to be somebody that like does something creative like me, and that we work together or something like that, and then it just happens. Like, I feel like there's just so much to lose, you know what I mean, in a relationship. I think they can be beautiful and like really great ways to learn about yourself and to grow, but I also think that being with the wrong person is such a risk to your creativity, and it's just not a risk that I'm willing to take right now in my life, because I have so many goals and projects. And like, to be honest, I still miss this person and I love this person, but it's just like together it just felt like so much work, and it just wasn't, I wasn't like happy day to day, you know? I was like happy 30% of the time, and the rest of it I was fucking sad, you know? So I think for me, the relationship thing is not existent. My relationship is with myself. And that's the thing as well, as I find myself, you know, like after my divorce as well as after this relationship, it's taking me a lot of work to build my self-esteem back up. Like, I really like did not feel like I was beautiful. Like, I did not feel like special like I did when I was with myself, because the mirror that I held up to myself was so much clearer than the one that they were holding up to me. And I really, like, if they ever saw this, I don't want them to think I'm bashing them or saying they're a bad person, but it just was not it was not for me. And I'm just gonna say one more thing about this, and then we're gonna fucking move on with this Q&A, is that I kind of saw these signs early on a little bit of like how we weren't compatible. I was like, well, your differences can make you stronger, but sometimes no. Because, for example, I'm a really big feeler, and vulnerability is like the #1 thing to me. And this person was more logical, and they sort of saw like emotions as a weakness, like in an avoidant way. And obviously, like, that's gonna make me smaller over time, you know, because I'm like, oh, well, this thing that I value so much about myself, this person doesn't. So I think like in the future, I would definitely, if I feel like, I would pay more attention to my feelings, I think. You know, somebody also asked, like, would you ever see yourself having kids? I think as well, like, I don't know, like, I have I have this thing with kids where I think, and I talk about this with people around me all the time, I think that either way you're gonna lose something and gain something different. I know I would be an amazing mom. I'd be like the coolest mom, and also I have a lot of nannying experience, and so like I know how to do it, you know. But I also think that like I'm sort of a mother to my art, and I think like if you think about it and you're in between those decisions, it's sort of like, okay, think about your life. Which is scarier for you to lose? The experience of being a mother, or the idea of losing out on your creative stuff? And I'm not saying you can't do both, but I also feel like, you know, having a kid, it's gonna be like half of somebody else. And so I think like if everything aligned and I met like somebody and I'm like, I want to have kids with you, then that would be one thing. And like it could maybe I'd be like a one and done type girl. I don't see myself having a litter or anything. But yeah, I don't know. I think it will be like bittersweet because I am obviously gonna have to make that choice, but like I'm also very okay with it with if I don't end up having them, you know? And I know everyone's like, it's a love that you won't understand unless you have them. And like that's a little bit scary of being like, oh, I'm gonna miss out on loving something so much. But maybe that's a beautiful thing, is like I won't know that, and so I have to find the love somewhere else, and I don't have to like fill it with a child. Like I have to maybe love myself enough for that to be enough, you know? Someone said, how do you get over the fear of being seen by strangers on the internet? I think it's because I feel like I got really close to you guys in periods of my life where I felt very alone, and so kind of like the camera became my friend. And so I feel like a lot more comfortable sometimes talking to a camera and you guys than I do like people around my community. You know what I mean? Like I actually value like our relationship more than I do like the random like people that I might know in my community. I'm not talking about like close friends. I started my YouTube channel when I was in university, and I got made fun of a little bit for my YouTube channel. Not a ton, but a little bit. And it was, I think it was harder then because like I'd have to see people that I knew were like maybe watching my videos, and now I don't really see anybody unless I want to. So that's pretty much why. And like I see like vulnerability and sharing online as like such an act of radical bravery, that like I feel, and I've said this before, like no matter what art I do or what things I put out in the world, like doing this for me has been like the most beautiful thing I think I'll ever do, because I know that like for some people who've told me that they felt less alone because of my videos, and like what an amazing gift, you know? So I think to answer your question, like how to not be afraid of being seen, is like you have to care more about something than being seen. And obviously like in some ways you do care still, you know, like, but you have to care more about whatever purpose you have, what you're sharing, you know? Okay, on the subject of relationships again, but friendships, people are asking me about friends. Do you have any besties? You seem quite social and introverted at the same time. How easily do you break up a friendship? It's so funny, the question, because it's like I'm breaking up two people who are friends. What are your criteria when it comes to friends? Yeah. I have an interesting relationship with this, because I'm somebody that I spend a ridiculous amount of time by myself. Like I think in a week I'll maximum see two people, and usually it'll be in like a creative context. Like I'll be like, okay, let's hang out, and then we'll also make something together. Come over for dinner and we'll sing together or do something like that. And the reason is because I find it a lot more intimate and like rewarding to connect to people on a creative level. That feels like the deepest way for me to connect to people. Like I really, to be honest, like I don't enjoy just like going and meeting somebody and just like having coffee and talking, because I don't know, it just doesn't feel like we're really sharing like that playful, fun energy that I really love in a friendship. And honestly, I'll be honest about it. I used to really use alcohol in social situations because I just found like being around people very boring. And I don't like to say yeah, it's not that they're boring, but just like socializing in general, I found very boring. But for example, if we're creating something, like that's not boring to me. Um, and so what I found is over the years, like the people that do end up being like my closest friends end up being my collaborators. For example, I'd say my friend Anna, who plays in my group. I don't know why I'm calling it a group, it's just me and her, but like I first brought her on to like accompany me with the flute and the bass synth, and we became close friends because of creating together and just like organically, you know. But I will say, like in the past, it's been an issue. Like this is a thing that's kind of hard, is when you're collaborating with people, working together and being friends, because you can very easily like there's like lines there that can very easily crossed. For example, let's say like I'm collaborating with somebody, and when I say collaborating, like I always pay people because I think like people's time are worth something, you know. So I'll always pay somebody, and then like if we become friends, then sometimes like if I say, I don't know, like I want something a certain way, it can kind of get blurred, or that's just like how it is in creative spheres. It's like it's very delicate, and I'm a very sensitive person, and I try to really pay attention to like people's feelings around me. And I think like over the years, something I learned with friendships is it's all about how you feel with the person, you know. Like for example, the friends that I've stayed friends with, we've lived through something like really intense together. For example, one of my best friends, we met in Iceland, and we just have like very intense experiences. And I think the older that you get, it's very hard to keep like a strong relationship with somebody if you're not working together on something, if you don't have like these strong fibers. And for me in the past, like I'm trying to think, because you asked about like friend breakups, like anything is manageable if we can talk about it. But I don't know, if I feel like we can't talk about it and I feel like there's no space being held or whatever, then yeah, like that's not a friendship. I think the world is hard enough as it is, so if you have to tiptoe and you have to, you don't feel comfortable, then like make a new friend, you know. Someone says, what YouTube channels or Instagram users are some of your inspirations? Okay, I really love all of sort of the fairy girls, you know what I mean? Like on YouTube, for example, I love the Cottage Fairies videos. She just seems like a very humble, sweet person, and she lives in the woods and just bought a bookshop, and all her videos are like voiceovers, and they're just very calming to me, and they touch my heart. Like I really love things that touch my heart. And I also love like Jonna Jensen. She's sort of like a similar vibe, and she lives in Sweden, and she just seems like the sweetest, amazing person. And I just love really like soft-hearted people, because I really see myself in that. I'm not really like, I don't really go to like Instagram or TikTok for that kind of stuff. Like they inspire me by their soft heart and their willingness to be soft girlies online, you know. And back in the day when she was posting, I really loved Amelia Farts. She would just like eat pizza in her tub, and I just really loved her vulnerability. Again, like there's a theme here. It's like vulnerability, sharing struggles. Yeah, I really love those kind of girls. Someone said, how did you find the bravery to move abroad and know it was the right decision for you? I did not know it was the right decision for me. And I also, like, up until I got to the airport, my family didn't even believe I was going to do it. They're like, oh, you're going to, you're actually gonna go. I honestly was just like, and it was a gap year between school, and I was like, I'm bored. I knew a girl who was an au pair in Germany. Seemed like an adventure. I was broke. Let's go. And I'm very much like that. Like, I will just do an adventure because I know that even if things end up not working out or being shitty, it's a really good learning experience, you know? So back to relationships. Someone wanted to know about how to get over heartbreak, and here's the thing, is like, from going through it a few times in my life, what I realized is like, you are going through pain now for something better in the future. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's almost like if you've ever like smoked cigarettes or been like addicted to anything, or, you know, wanting to stop eating sugar or anything like that. It's like, at first you're just so overwhelmed with how uncomfortable it is, and like the hole, the them-shaped hole that is missing from your life. But the thing is like, we have to create new neural pathways. And so, for example, that's why they always say like time really does heal all wounds, and it's just because our brain does not have the energy to keep those pathways intact over time, and so they get replaced by new ones just normally. So honestly, like, time, I'd say, heals a heartbreak, and being okay with being uncomfortable and accepting that, you know. And like, something that I really find helps is to focus all that energy back onto yourself. Like, I love to say, I take all energy and refocus it back to myself, you know. I think that is something that can really help, is focusing on your projects, like something you really care about, because in those moments you're not missing them, you're working on improving in an area of your life you really care about. And that's actually how I started getting into music, is when me and my ex-husband I sound like me and my ex-husband, when we stopped being together, like, I just threw myself into music, and that really helped me. And yeah, I hope that that can help you. Someone said, how have you figured out how to go full-time with your art? Would love to do this myself. Honestly, it's not that cracked up as people think it is. And you know, if you think about it, I wouldn't say like I'm a full-time artist, because that's not all that I do. I would say I'm a full-time creative, and like, sure, when I'm titling my videos I'll say full-time artist, because like full-time creative sounds fucking weird, and like people are like, what do you mean full-time creative? But like, for example, when I was in art school, I didn't picture myself, you know, graduating and doing painting, books, prints, YouTube. And honestly, like, YouTube was something thought I was gonna do for a very short period of time, and then I saw that it was like a real way to create community. But having said that, it's a lot of work, and it's almost like a 9-to-5, because, for example, a lot of my revenue comes from if I get a brand deal. And if I don't get one, then if I'm like, okay, next month I don't have a brand deal, then I'm gonna maybe work more on like prints, or focus more on like, okay, this month I have like a goal of paintings I want to sell. And I feel like wearing that many hats can actually be quite detrimental to your creativity in a sense. And like, sometimes I think people who have like a solid 9-to-5 where they know how much they're going to make every month, that might be like a better solution, I think, for most people. Because how nice is it that, like, you know, you're getting the salary every month, and all of that money that you want, you can put into your creative work. You know what I mean? For me, for example, since I don't know how much I'm going to be making every month, and it fluctuates so much, sometimes I'm like, well, I don't know yet if I can really, you know, finance this creative project I want to work on yet, or because I just don't know, you know what I mean? And so I think that, yeah, like, I would say if you want to do something similar to me, where you're like a full-time creative, I would say like have a ton of different hats, But then just know that that comes with a lot of stress as well. Like even just with administration and stuff. Like the other day I got a phone call from my bank and they're like, oh, they're like having me on suspicion. They're like, what is all these what are like all of these different payments into your bank account? And I'm like, well, I'm a YouTuber, so I have a bunch of different income streams. And for example, in France, if you are a small business owner, like that is seen as sort of like strange. Like most people, they're encouraged to be employees, and so they make it very hard for you here. And like I feel like I have to apologize to my bank just for being a business owner that has different revenue streams, because they're like, well, that's suspicious. She's being paid by Google and Amazon and KDP. And anyway, all this to say that for me, the way that I'm able to sustain this lifestyle is Patreon. Like if I did not have a Patreon, you guys, I would absolutely not be doing YouTube anymore, because there, in the months that I don't have a sponsor, like you can't really count on selling paintings. Like I have, since I made the goal, been selling paintings, which is just amazing. But like if you put the pressure on yourself, like I have to sell a painting, that is so much pressure on your artwork. And so yeah, like for me, it's been just a bunch of different income streams and trying to balance it and keep it as stable as possible. But if you think about it, like most of the people and the artists that I know, they have like their bread and butter, and then they're free to use that money as they want on their artistic projects. Having said that, they don't have the same freedom of time. For example, I can swap out my apartment and work from anywhere, or rent out my apartment and work from anywhere. If I had like another 9 to 5 with my art, I can't just like fuck off to wherever I want to go to, you know? So there's pros and cons to everything, but I don't want you guys to have the illusion that like I'm just living off of my paintings or just my prints. Like, I mean, without those things, I couldn't, like YouTube wouldn't be enough either. So that's why if you watch my videos, I'm always having like a new thing, like it's either a print or a book, because I'm really just trying to stay afloat. But it's really like a bunch of different things. Oh my god, speaking of YouTube, I just got the most insane comment. You guys, I get the fucking craziest comments, and a lot of time they get filtered by YouTube so you guys don't see them, but they're like in my review tab. Listen to this. On my video about why I can't move back to France after living 12 years, no, why I can't move back to the USA after 12 years in France, someone wrote, "It's disgusting to see you tear apart a nice croissant and munch that using your all 10 fingers. You'd better stay in the US. I believe you don't deserve anything beyond a donut or something similar." It's so funny because like I was talking to my mom about this the other day and about like insane comments that I get. Like another one I got is, "You need a husband and children. You will never be happy or fulfilled until you have both." I have a whole folder. But I was talking to my mom about it, and I'm like, it's just funny because people think like they're gonna upset me, but they just make me laugh really hard because they're just so wild, you know what I mean? So yeah, I guess you just have to have a good sense of humor to be on YouTube. Someone asked about how I price my artwork, and I will take into consideration the materials that I use, the time that I spent on it. If it took me only a day to paint something, I will take that in mind. But if it was something that I had to work on and there's like many layers to it, especially if it's like a sculpture painting, that might be more expensive. Also sizing. But I will say that like I really tried to make my pieces affordable, because the thing is, I see it as like, if I can sell the artwork, then I can make more art. Like I don't want to price something so high that people can't buy it and it's just like sitting in my apartment, you know what I mean? And on that note, I also want to say that something that I really had to learn when putting yourself out there and selling your artwork is like, it's not that something doesn't sell today that it won't sell one day, you know what I mean? Like I've done painting drops and maybe didn't sell a piece, and then a year later that thing will sell on my website. And I think a big part of it is letting go of the ego and saying that like, I finished this piece, I'm proud of it, I am putting it on my website to show it to the world, and I believe that if it doesn't sell now, it'll sell one day. You know what I mean? And so that's why I really want to consistently put out 2 paintings a month, because it keeps me practicing, it keeps me in touch with my creativity, and it also gets me over the fear of rejection, or not even outright rejection, but just like it not maybe working, or you know, I want to be detached from it in that sense, putting myself out there consistently, you know what I mean, and saying like, look, I made this, you guys. If it doesn't sell, that's okay, because it will sell one day, you know. And speaking of that, I finished 2 more paintings. This one I'll show you guys in my next vlog. I think that I'm trying to put 2 on my website every month. So I'll have more paintings on my website at the end of the month that I'm excited about. I also was thinking about adding this one. Hold on. This is a sculpture painting I made a few years ago now, but people asked me in the past if they could buy it, and I had always said no, because it was when I was starting like a new series, and I wanted to kind of keep it as like a sort of, like, I don't know, whenever you start something new, it's sort of like a way to trace back how you started. But I've really evolved since then, I think. So I think I might put this one on there. Let me know if any of you guys would be interested in this one if I put it on there. But anyway, I have 2 figurative ones that I'm gonna put on. And yeah, that's basically, I think the question is like how you price your work. It's, you know, based on the size, the feeling. There's like different ways you can look up formulas online. I pretty much like figure like for the bigger pieces, I'll do between like 700 and 1,000, like the bigger ones, because they take me longer. The smaller ones are around like 500, you know what I mean? So obviously, like if you get to a point where they're selling out like this, then you can raise your prices, but everything's about supply and demand. Anyway, I have more questions on here, and I'd love to spend more time with you guys. I mean, what time is it? It's almost 1 a.m. How are you guys doing? I feel like I didn't ask you guys too much about you. What are your struggles at the moment? Me personally, like I said, I went through that breakup, and I'm trying to build better self-intimacy with myself. I'm trying to, yeah, like build back my confidence back up, because I feel like by the end of everything I didn't feel that confident in myself. And I'm also trying to find like a really good balance. Like I started working out again. Like I'll do like 5 days a week, but just like between 30 and an hour a day. And I've noticed like it's really helped me with my mental health. I've been like thinking about what creative projects I really want to focus on. I'm also learning Japanese. I'm gonna do my flashcards after this video. Paris ni sundemas means I live in Paris. And yeah, I will be spending some time in Japan this year. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, anyway, maybe I'll just end the video here. I feel like it's probably gonna be like 40 minutes long. I really enjoyed spending this time together, and maybe I can do more just like sit down videos like this, because I think it's a really nice way to connect with you guys. And I think sometimes, yeah, I think it's always a balance when you're sharing online, because you want to be vulnerable, you want to share your life, and sometimes you're in a place where you feel like a little bit raw, a little bit, but I feel like I'm getting back to a place where I don't care as much about just like the bullshit, in the sense of like it feels really good to like find myself again. I think that's the thing that I want to work on the most, is like this relationship with myself, where like if I'm amusing myself first, and like every day, like for example at the beginning of the video when I was like, you're so cool, you're so funny, that's like a really great way to build self-intimacy, is like have little inside jokes with yourself, or like be able to laugh at things, or be like, tomorrow's like Valentine's Day and I'm like, oh, we're gonna dress up like this and we're gonna go do this. And I think that's a way to make life fun for yourself, and that's something that I kind of lost for a little while, and I think that's something that I'm starting to get back, and being able to have that and be able to work on that in myself will make it easier for me to, I think, talk to you guys, because I don't have like this wound that I'm like, I don't know, it's like when you have a wound and like you're trying to connect to somebody, but you're also like, you're trying to hide the fact that you're bleeding, you know, or like, you know, when like you go to an event and you're sick and everyone's like, oh my god, hi, and you're like trying to like keep it cool and like not let anyone know you're feeling like shit. That's kind of like how I felt at a certain point this year with my videos, because I had a hard time connecting with you guys, because I had a hard time connecting with myself. Like I'm getting my groove back is what I mean, like we're getting back to it. But yeah, I think that a lot of us go through those moments in life, and so I hope that maybe talking to me will make you guys feel less alone. And anyway, thank you guys for chilling with me. Sorry there was no spaghetti. I know some of you guys like to eat together, but probably for the best, honestly, because like in my eating videos I have a hard time eating and talking at the same time. Maybe we'll eat next time, okay? But yeah, if you guys want to support what I'm doing, I have art prints out. Thank you guys so much for your art print orders on the You Can Cry and I Will Listen. I'm gonna be sending those out as soon as I get them. I probably am getting them this week. I have a poetry book out. I have a workbook for artists and empaths. That book hits. That is a really good book. Like I still do my own book sometimes. It's a guided workbook journal. All that will be linked down below, as well as my Patreon if you want to support what I'm doing, or come to our Paris meetups. We're having a Zoom party tomorrow for Valentine's Day. It's funny because sometimes there's only like 3 people that come, because everyone has different schedules and stuff, and so it'll just be like 3 of us on the call talking about creativity and life and stuff, and it's always fun. So I love you guys. Thank you for being here, and I will see you guys very soon on the Purple Palace. Don't forget you're that girl. Bye.